Hello and welcome to the Catch a Lift Coaches Corner. I'm Cal Coach and Program Director Melissa, and this week I'm honored to welcome Brandon Deaton to the show. Brandon is a retired U.S. Army veteran and Cal veteran athlete. Welcome to this week's episode of the Coaches Corner. Brandon, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks, Melissa. Good to be here.
It's good to have you. Let's jump right into it, Brandon. Brandon, would you talk to us a little bit about your life growing up and what would ultimately lead you to joining the Army?
So I grew up in Maine. My dad was in the Navy. And I also come from a military family. A lot of my family was in the military. Growing up, oh shit, sorry. I grew up in Maine. My dad was in the Navy. We did move around a little bit. My dad got stationed down in Jacksonville, Florida for a few years, and then we moved back to Maine, and I ended up graduating. We stayed in Maine after that, and I ended up graduating in 2005. And I knew ever since I was a little kid that I wanted to join the military.
Yeah.
Just seeing my dad and being on base and seeing my dad in uniform and stuff like that. I just thought it was really cool. And then as I got older, I knew that I wanted to do something with my life and serve my country. I ended up joining the Army as infantry, and like a week and a half after I graduated in 2005, I left for basic and did all my training, did airborne school down at Fort Benning, Georgia, and then I got sent to Fort Drum, New York with the 10th Mountain Division.
Brandon, what do you remember most about training up at basic training and at airborne school?
What I remember most is probably, number one, I was terrified. I joined when I was still 17, so my mom and dad signed so I could leave. Oh man, that's hard. I don't know. I was scared, but it was also fun. I knew, I knew that I wanted to do this, so I put everything into the training and learn as much as I could and stuff like that. And then airborne school was pretty fun, but I was scared of heights.
Oh, geez. Oh my gosh. So talk to us about airborne school when you're afraid of heights. How did that kind of transpire for you?
I was super nervous. We start, doing the training and stuff. We start with I think it was like a 34-foot tower and stuff like that, and then they do have I think a 250-foot tower, but I think a soldier died the class before on the tower for a tower week, so that they scrubbed the tower week for us. So we jumped out of the 34-foot tower instead of the 250-foot tower. But and then the first time we went up in the plane, they open the doors and stuff like that, and you get ready to jump out. And I was super scared, but once you get to the door, I felt a boot on my ass, and I kicked out the plane. So they didn't really give you a chance to hesitate and not jump. So, but after that, it was awesome. So that I got over my fear of heights. And
did you get over it kind of right away, or was it a process to get through it with jumps?
No, as soon as my parachute opened the first time, I was like, man, that was awesome. It was a huge adrenaline rush. It was super fun. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Thank you for talking to us about that, Brandon.
Yeah.
So you would deploy fairly shortly after all your training to Iraq. Talk to us about the preparations for deployment and getting over to Iraq.
I got to my unit December of 2005, and then I think the first big training that we did. When I got to my unit, I was made a machine gunner, so I carried the M249 saw, the squad automatic weapon. And then I also went to the CLS course, Combat Lifesaver course. I wasn't a medic, but I had more medical training than the average soldier. Like
Right.
I knew how to give IVs and put tourniquets on, pressure dressing and stuff like that. And then our first big training, I think it was May of '06. We went to or it was either March or May, but we went to the National Training Center, NTC, in Fort Irwin, California, and out in the desert to do, like pretty much like war games and stuff like that. And that I've never been so hot and so cold in the same place. It was.
I've heard that about NTC out there.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But it was definitely fun. My unit, I was in first platoon, and we were a very close knit unit, and that just brought us closer together. Doing taking over, mock villages and firefights and stuff like that. So it was definitely it was definitely some good training.
Talk to us about going to Iraq, Brandon.
Yeah, so we deployed in August of '06, and I had I turned 18 in basic, and then I had just turned 19 right before we deployed. But yeah, we deployed in August of '06. Went to Kuwait for like a week to acclimatize and stuff.
Okay.
And then we flew into BIOP, the Baghdad International Airport, and we relieved the 101st Airborne. And our sector was a town, or like a village called Sadr al-Yusufiyya, and it was in the Triangle of Death. It was Yusufiyya, Mahmudiyya, and Iskandariya.
Yeah.
Those three towns formed the triangle. But yeah, when we first got there, we did the left seat, right seat rides with the 101st, and they showed us the sector and our area of operations and stuff. And and we found out that we wouldn't be staying on the main base. The main base that we were on was Camp Stryker, which was attached to Camp Liberty. But we weren't there. We were there like maybe like 4 days out of the month, and then the rest of the time we lived out in sector at our patrol base. So
what was it like living on a patrol base? Like, what was the differences to that as opposed to the main base camp? Talk about that, Brandon.
Well, so like number one, like we did have showers, but there was no protection when you're taking a shower, and we got mortared a lot. So you took a lot of baby wipe showers and stuff like that. We did have electricity, which was nice because we had a generator, but no running water. So everything we had bottled water everywhere. We slept, like 50 guys in a room on cots. We had like two ACs, so it was super hot.
It was hot, yeah.
Super hot. Everyone fought for the cots next to the AC.
I'm sure.
But yeah, we just did. So we had I was in Bravo Company, and so our whole company was out there. So headquarters with the mortars was they stayed at our main patrol base, and then we had two battle positions at either end of our sector, which were also TCPs, traffic control points, where we searched vehicles and people coming in and out of our sector, and we kind of had like a rotation down. So half of one platoon would be on one of the battle positions, and the other half would be doing day and nighttime patrols, and then the other platoon would be at the main base doing night raids and missions and stuff like that. And then the other platoon would be at the other battle position, and we just did it like a kind of like a rotation.
Yeah.
I think it was like we did it for like 3 days, and then we would rotate and then we like 3 days there, 3 days here, 3 days there, and then we would end up rotating back to the main base to refit, so we could hit up the chow hall and get some decent food and take a shower and stuff. But we were only there for 2 days, and then we would go back out in sector. So
Kind of looking back at it now, Brandon, and looking at the training you did even at like NTC before going over, did it kind of follow what you guys actually did in country, or was it like you got there, did the right seat, left seat rides, and just kind of learned on the fly?
we kind of just, I think we mostly learned on the fly.
Yeah.
Because I mean, NTC was like good training and stuff like that, but we were like out in like we weren't in a city. It was more like farmland. Like we were right off the Euphrates.
Okay.
So there's like a lot of fields, and um, we did do a lot of mounted patrols with armored Humvees and stuff. But we did a lot more dismounted patrols on foot during the day and night, and we did a couple air assault missions with Blackhawks, and did a lot of ambushes and raids and stuff. And I think one of our first big missions we caught. I'm pretty sure we caught a guy that was wanted on the CIA's most wanted list.
Holy man.
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. When they told us that, I was like, holy shit. So it was pretty crazy.
That's wild. That's wild. So I was in Iraq December '04 through December '05. So not terribly far off from the time period you were there. And I was a truck driver. I drove that area a lot where you were. What do you remember of that time, Brandon? Because I remember it being a very kinetic time. Like every time we would go out, I was a het driver, so it was constant convoys, and we would get hit every day going out. So that '05 time frame. What was it like when you were there going out on patrols?
Yeah, so we would either get hit with IEDs, mortared, or take small arms contact every day. It was just pretty much, we just rode around and waited to get blown up, and
Yeah.
then we would react to contact.
Right.
But so our sector, the insurgents that were in our sector, they didn't like fighting with us head on because they knew that we were going to smoke them.
Right.
So they did a lot more of the like hit and run tactics, like mortaring us.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of like direct contact, but they mortared us a lot, and they hit us with IEDs almost every day. So yeah, it was it was pretty scary.
Yeah.
I would much rather be walking around than driving around in a Humvee. I felt safer walking than in
I
a.
believe that. Yeah. So Brandon, you would be injured.
Yeah. So we were driving. So we were my half of my platoon was on one of our TCPs during the, I think, nighttime. Yeah, so we had day shift and night shift, and we were there during nighttime. But when we were sleeping, we were QRF for the the mounted and foot patrols going out. So that same day, my lieutenant had gotten blown up, and it blew the whole front of his truck off. Everyone lived. I think the driver got a concussion, but like it blew the 50 cal out of the mound, like blew the whole front of the truck
Gosh,
off.
yeah.
So we got woken up for QRF to go recover the vehicle and stuff like that. And then we get there, everyone's fine. They're a little dazed and stuff, but we recovered the vehicle, brought it back to our patrol base, and then I was usually the gunner in the Humvee with the machine gun, either 240 or 50 cal. So I was a gunner then, and then when we brought the vehicle back to base, we had to get ready to go to our TCP to do our the 12-hour night shift or whatever. And so I got the truck ready, got it in the turret and stuff, and then a cherry comes out, a guy who one of our replacements because we had lost a few guys. And he'd only been in country for like a month or two, and he got in the driver's seat, and we were driving at night blackout, which means you got to wear your night vision and stuff. And I saw him get in the driver's seat, and I was like, dude, there's no way you're driving me. So I made him switch with me, and I drove, and I made him get in the turret. And then so we leave, and we're driving, and I think it's a kind of a blur. I don't remember if I was the first vehicle or second vehicle, but I ended up I hit an IED and that night, and I just remember a bright white flash, and I get my team leader said I let out like a blood curdling scream, and then I got knocked out, and then when I came to, they had pulled me out of the truck, and I was laying on the road, and I was dazed. I couldn't hear anything. I tasted blood in my mouth and dirt and stuff, and I just remember my buddy Cheney was there, and Corporal Hobbs was there, and Hobbs had come to us from a Ranger battalion, so he was EMT qualified. So because we didn't have a medic with us, but so they started working on me, and I still had my leg. So the only injury I'd had from like mid calf down on my left foot, everything was fractured, shattered, dislocated. I had a compound fracture, so my tib and fib were sticking up out of my leg. It was just pretty much my left foot and ankle, and like half my leg was mangled.
Yeah.
And then also I took shrapnel on the left side of my face, and it blew both my eardrums. Ended up getting a traumatic brain injury. Tore my rotator cuff because I hit the radio mount because it blew me out pretty much out of the driver's seat. So
yeah.
And then, like when I came to, it didn't really hurt until they put a tourniquet on my leg, and I looked down and I saw my leg and stuff, and that's when the pain set in, and I started freaking out. And then they casevac'd me to back to our patrol base because we were only like a mile from our patrol base. So they put me on a litter and tied me down. They strapped me down so I wouldn't fall off, and they put me on the hood of a Humvee. And drove me back.
On the hood of a Humvee.
yeah. I was.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was super scared. I was trying to roll off the hood because I was.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, but luckily we didn't hit an IED or take contact.
Yeah.
Like that, because I mean, it was just me on the hood. Like I didn't have any body armor or anything on because they cut it off. So.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty scary.
Yeah.
And I just remember, they brought me back to the little aid station in our patrol base. The medic started working on me and stuff like that, and I wasn't an urgent. They didn't know how bad my injuries were, so like I wasn't urgent surgical or urgent. I was priority, so it took a little bit for the Black Hawk, the medevac to get there.
Okay.
But when the medevac got there, they ran me out to the LZ, the helicopter LZ that was like across the road from our patrol base. And the last thing I remember was the flight medic was like, "You want some morphine?" And I was like, "Yes."
Yeah.
And then that's pretty much all I remember for a little bit. Like I remember waking up here and there during my medevac back stateside, but I was pretty much out of it the whole trip.
So you were taken back to the U.S.
Yeah. So I went from out in sector to Bag. Oh shit! I went out in sector from there to Baghdad, casualty support hospital in Baghdad, and then I went from there to Balad, and then Balad to Landstuhl, Germany, and Landstuhl, Germany to Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland, and then Andrews Air Force Base to Womack Army Medical Center in Fort Bragg because Walter Reed was full. And then once the bed opened up at Walter Reed, I was transferred to Walter Reed.
Brandon, talk to us about your time at Walter Reed.
So I was there for a pretty long time. I was there for like 20 months. And I still had my leg, but I had external fixator on it. So I had seven rods going, in and out of my foot, ankle, and leg. I had internal pins holding my foot together because all my metatarsals were fractured and shattered. Yeah, and I had a bunch of surgeries. I'm pretty sure I had over 60 surgeries. Just
Wow. Yeah.
a lot of them were like irrigation and debris, kind of cleaning the wound. But I would have surgery, rest, have surgery, rest. Like I'd have surgery one day, rest the next day, have surgery. And it was like that for a couple months.
How did you kind of deal with the, I don't even know what the word is, Brandon, like the mental and physical aspect of that, of, surgery after surgery, up to, 60 plus maybe surgeries. How were you dealing with that?
Uh, I was. Oh man, that's a hard question. I like I'm glad that it was me that got wounded, because I would rather me get wounded than see any of my friends get hurt. So that was a blessing. And no one else got hurt in the Humvee. It was just me.
It's just you.
Yeah, yeah. So I saw. I forgot. I saw the IED right before I hit it, and I swerved to the right to miss it, and it blew up right underneath me. And so I was in the driver's seat. But yeah, so that was, I was, I guess you could say, happy that that I got it, no one else did. But yeah, and also my family was down there. My mom, my dad, my were down there with me. They took turns. They like took rotate. They did rotations. Like someone would be there for a month. Like my mom would be there for a month, and then my dad would come down for a month, then my brother would come down for a month, and they would just kind of rotate. Um, but yeah, I mean, I was still pretty out of it. I was heavily medicated.
Okay.
I was on a bunch of pain meds and
Yeah.
and everything like that. So I was pretty much out of it from March to probably maybe June. I was pretty
Okay.
much out of it. I was I was mostly bedridden. My leg was up in traction. I
Right.
couldn't walk. I couldn't get my leg wet, so I couldn't shower. So I had to take get like a bucket of water with a washcloth and wash myself like that. And when I could get out of bed, I was in a wheelchair. And so that sucked because being 19 years old, you don't
Yeah.
you don't think that that you're going to be in a wheelchair, and
Right.
if you're ever going to walk again, if it's ever going to heal right and stuff like that. So but yeah, so I tried doing the limb salvage for a while, and then in July, the doctors came and talked to me, and they're like, look, we can, they're like, it's not really healing right. Luckily I didn't get any infections or anything like that, but they told me my leg wasn't healing right. I was missing half my heel bone. They tried putting in, first they did they put like cement beads in to like kind of form a heel bone. It's called your calcaneus.
Okay.
That didn't take. So then they tried like a cadaver heel bone, and that didn't take. And then they pretty much told me like, look, we can do one last reconstructive surgery, and we're just gonna fuse all your bones in your foot and ankle together, and you'll have no ankle movement. You won't be able to run or play sports, do anything like that, and you'll probably have to walk with a walking aid, like cane or crutches for the rest of your life. And I was like, fuck that.
Yeah.
I just seen a dude with no legs running. I was like, you go ahead and cut that off. So I made the decision in July to have my leg amputated. And then I got it amputated the 1st of August of 2007. And it was like 3 days after my 20th birthday. So kind of a nice birthday present.
Yeah, that's wow. Well, first of all, Brandon, thank you so much for your service to our great country.
I appreciate it.
Um, Talk to us a little bit. So, how would your life change, Brandon, after that amputation?
So after the amputation, I actually, I started feeling sorry for myself. Got really depressed and stuff like that. And then one of my good friends, who was a double amputee, left leg above the knee, left arm above the elbow, came and talked to me and pretty much was like, dude, that like you gotta like it's not that bad, like it could be worse. And he kind of checked me and
Yeah.
like I was like, oh shit, like he's right, So after that, I started getting my, you know, I guess I started getting motivated to, doing the physical therapy and walking again and all that stuff. And I did physical therapy every day. I was pretty active. Once I could start walking again, I was pretty active. I went to the gym every day in I think it was called the MATC. It was like the Military Amputation Training Center, I think, at Walter Reed. I think that's what it was called. But they had a gym, a rock climbing wall, stuff like that. So I did that a lot. They had, weights and stuff. And so yeah, and then after I was done, after I did my time in at the hospital, I returned back to active duty to my infantry unit,
It's
and
incredible.
yeah,
Tell us about that.
yeah. So so my unit came back. My unit did a 15-month tour in Iraq, and when they came back, I took leave from the hospital to go up and see them when they came back. And at this time I was walking and stuff. I had a prosthetic. I think they came back in like November. It was either October or November of '07 was when they came back, and and then after that, pretty much like once a month or once every 2 months, I would take leave and go fly back up to Fort Drum or drive back up to Fort Drum and like I'd be on leave, so I didn't have to work, but I would put my uniform on and help them train, help them teach classes and stuff. And but yeah, so I returned back to active duty. Got back to my infantry unit. As soon as I got back, they sent me to the promotion board. I got promoted to sergeant, and then was made a team leader. So then, I helped teach, I helped teach classes and, I helped train the junior enlisted soldiers and all that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What do you think that did for you, Brandon, your recovery, being able to go back to the unit and train soldiers?
I think for me, I wanted to make a career out of the military. So for me, that was huge. But I did face like a little adversity going back, just because I'm pretty sure I was one of the first amputees back at Fort Drum. As a yeah, I was one of the first amputees to go back to active duty at Fort Drum. And especially being infantry, infantry is a very physical job.
Right.
But like I was still doing PT with them every morning. I would run with them, road march, and do all that stuff. I could still pass the PT test. I could still do everything. Yeah, and then also I don't know why, but my first sergeant for some reason didn't like me. So he ended up telling me that I was just a waste of space in the company.
Good night.
I was taking up a slot in his, I was taking up a slot in his platoon or I was taking up a slot in his company for an able-bodied soldier. And
That's terrible. Good grief.
he was kind of a dickhead.
Yeah, for sure.
I told my sergeant major what he said, and my sergeant major called me up to his office one day, and I was like, "Oh shit, what did I do?" So I run up there and I get in his office, and he's like relax, and then he calls up my first sergeant and he chews him out in front of me, and that was that was pretty
nice.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "I don't really want to be here, but this."
Right.
But yeah, and then after that, I didn't really have any problems with him talking to me like that or treating me like that again.
Good.
But it was my intention to stay in the military and to deploy again and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't just I ended up deciding to get out because the doctors there told me that I couldn't be infantry and that I had to reclass or get out.
Right.
And just I kick myself in the ass every day now, but the infantry mindset was like, well, if I don't want to be infantry, I don't want to be in.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I guess I'll get out. So then I started doing the med board and stuff, and ended up getting out in 2010.
But you would go back to Iraq again,
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes, I would. Yeah.
Talk to us about going back to Iraq.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure it was July of 2009. My buddy, my friend Marco, the double amputee, who kind of checked me in the hospital, told me that about this program called Operation Proper Exit, and it's where the Troops First Foundation, a nonprofit, they send wounded soldiers back to Iraq and Afghanistan, back to where they were wounded and stuff. And and I was like, dude, you got to get me on that trip. Like, I would to go back. So he ended up talking to the dude who ran it, and he got my name on the list. And then me and 5 other wounded soldiers ended up going back to Iraq. And this was the very first trip. Like, this was like the pilot trip, like the very
Really
first going. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so, we went there July of 2009, and I think we stayed there for like a week, maybe a week and a half. And the whole time we were over there, we got to fly around in General O'Darren's Blackhawks with his personal security attachment. Yeah, it was awesome.
I bet that was.
Yeah, we got to go to Area 4 in Baghdad and BIOP, and with the special forces and shoot with the special forces and stuff, and it was awesome. It was definitely a good time, and everyone got to go back to where they were wounded. We went to Ramadi, we went to Diyala. I can't remember the other cities that we went to, but and then my sector got turned over to the Iraqi army, so we couldn't land. But I showed them on a map where I was wounded, and we got to fly over my sector in Black Hawk. So yeah,
what was that like, Brandon, flying over that spot?
It was super intense. A lot of memories. So I got hit on a road called Route Pinto.
Okay.
So I don't know why, but like all the routes in our sector were like old cars. So it was like Route Pinto, Route Pinto, stuff like that. But yeah, it was really intense. A lot of emotions came over me and stuff. Especially all of our casualties that we took were on Route Pinto. So a lot of bad memories.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely intense.
Do you feel like, Brandon, either at the time or reflecting on it now, over 10 years later, do you feel like that trip back to Iraq, that second time post-injury, did that bring you any closure kind of to your service time to the Iraq War?
Yeah, I think it did. Just because one of the main reasons was last time I was there, I was I wasn't able to walk out on my own. I was carried on
right.
So I think it was huge being able to to complete the trip and walk back on the plane to fly home. So it definitely helped me find a little bit of closure with my Iraq tour and stuff like that. So
That's absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for talking to us about that. That's tremendous. We've never gotten to talk to anyone that went back like that post injury. That's absolutely incredible, Brandon. So let's kind of jump back here a minute. So after being medically retired from the army and everything, what would the next years look like for you after getting out of the service?
So for the next, like probably almost 15 years, it was really bad. In 2008, I ended up becoming addicted to my painkillers that the military gave me because they had me on. I was on like Percocet, OxyContin, morphine. I was on Dilaudid. I was pretty much on everything.
Right.
So I ended up getting addicted to those, and then I'm for the next 15 years, and I mean, even currently, I'm still fighting addiction. I'm sober right now. I'm almost 10 months sober right now, but this is the longest I've been sober, since 2008. I've been to 5 different rehabs for drug rehabs and stuff, and it started off with just the painkillers and stuff,
Yeah.
just abusing them, abusing my prescription, and then once they stopped prescribing them, then I would buy them off the street, and then I did that for years, and then once that got too expensive, I actually switched to heroin, which was super shitty,
Yeah.
but it was just cheaper and.
Right.
But yeah, last year was probably the worst year of my life. I got out of a rehab called Warrior's Heart that was in Texas. It's just for veterans and first responders. I was there for, I think, like 40 something days, completed the program, and then I got back home January 1st of 2021. And I was sober for, I think I was sober for almost 6 months, I think, and then 3 of my best friends committed suicide.
Oh, jeez.
Two were military, and one wasn't. But one of them was one of my friends from Walter Reed. He was the first one, and then my other friend I've known since for 4th grade. He was one of my best friends. He committed suicide, and then my other friend did, and it was just it was extremely difficult, and that sent me back into a relapse, and I had made it almost 15 years without overdosing, and the first time that I used again, I overdosed while I was driving and totaled my truck on the highway. So I was going 70 on the highway and hit a guardrail because I overdosed. I went out when I was driving and wasn't wearing my seatbelt. Did get, I think I got a concussion, but I didn't get hurt. But I had to get Narcan 4 times in the ambulance and then twice by IV.
Oh my gosh.
And when I woke up, they told me I'd been in an accident and stuff. And the first thing I said was, did I hurt anyone?
Yeah.
And luckily I didn't. No one else was involved in the accident. It was just me. But yeah, so that was kind of it should have been a wake up call, but it wasn't. So I continued doing what I was doing, and I ended up overdosing 2 more times that year, and then in excuse me, August 8th, I was actually going to commit suicide. I hated my life. I hated what I had become. I had a lot of guilt and shame for being a addict and stuff, and also with PTSD and nightmares and all that stuff. I couldn't handle it anymore, and so I went to go say I was saying bye to my family. I went to my dad's house first, and he noticed, that my car, I had hit another guardrail in my car, because I had overdosed and hit another guardrail. But he noticed my car was messed up. And then I left my dad's house, and I didn't know this at the time, but he called my mom, and my mom, he was like, something's wrong with Brandon, and and then I was going to my mom's house to say bye to her, my little sister, and but before I did that, I stopped at my dealer's house and picked up and used again right before I saw my mom. And as soon as I pulled into my mom's house, so my mom went to school for kind of like drug addiction, or I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah. So as soon she ran out, before I could even get out of the car, and she was like, "Look, like if you leave, I'm calling the police."
Yeah.
And just like totally hit me with an intervention, and
Yeah.
it saved my life. And I broke down.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
everything that I told her that I was after this I was going home to to kill myself, and so I got put on lockdown. She took me to the hospital that night, and unfortunately they're like, we can't really do anything for you. So I went back home to my mom's house and stayed the night. And then the next day, I went back to the hospital, and I was admitted into the psych ward for, like a week and a half. And, and then I knew I had to go back to rehab and stuff like that. So, the VA sent me. So I had to fight with the VA for like a month. For them to send me to like a good drug rehab.
Okay. Yeah.
Through the community care program and stuff. And, I ended up, they kept denying me. And finally I cussed out the head of mental health for the main VA hospital up in Maine. And, after I did that, he approved it. And
Okay.
so I went, but then I had to wait for an opening for the rehab. But so I ended up doing I think it was in September. Yeah, in September I left for Florida to go to a place called Banyan down in Stuart, Florida, and I was there for like 25 days. They said that they had a veteran program.
Okay.
They said it was a long-standing veteran program. But that was a lie. I was like the first combat vet to go through.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and like I'm a pretty chill person. I'm pretty easygoing and stuff.
Yeah.
But like I almost like physically assaulted some of the staff for how they treated me and things they did. So like it was really bad.
Yeah.
But after 25 days, I was like, this is bullshit. I'm leaving, and I left AMA against medical advice. Went back home for like a day and a half, and then got in touch with a nonprofit called the Independence Fund.
Okay.
And they helped me get to another place out in Texas. Like, yeah, within like a day, I like they had like a bed for me and everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so yeah, I went to a place called Great Oaks Recovery Center.
Okay.
In Egypt, Texas. And like it was the same thing. They said they had a veteran program, long-standing veteran program, but come to find out, I was the first combat vet to go through it again. So
What is the deal with that? Good grief.
It's just what I honestly think it is. They just want the VA's money.
Right. Yeah.
So, but like when I first got there, like the first week, it was good. Like my like counselor or therapist, she only worked with vets. She did the EMDR
Okay. Yep.
stuff, and she was also the director of the the mental health program there. And she was awesome. Everyone loved her. And but after like a week of being there, she left. She just resigned, and they didn't bring anyone else in. So I didn't get I didn't work on like any of my trauma or anything like that.
Yeah.
For like pretty much the whole time I was there. I got like 2 sessions with her, and then I didn't work on any of my trauma like the whole rest of the time. So it was also kind of a shit show, but it served its purpose. It got me away from drugs. It got me more sober time under my belt.
Right.
And that's so. And also, when I was at the place in Florida, I started working out. They brought you to a gym 3 days a week, so that's when I started working out again. And then the place in Texas had a gym there on property, and I was in the gym every single day, and yeah, so yeah, I think I was there for like 30. I was there for like 35 days, I think. I ended up staying. I completed the program. And then like I got out Veterans Day last year and immediately moved to a sober living house in Houston, Texas. And then I was there from, Veterans Day, which so like mid-November to March. I was in the sober living house, and I ended up getting a job. So I was for a moving company. I was a driver. I drove a big box truck, and I was also a mover. So I moved people's houses and furniture, and office buildings and stuff like that. So, and then that's also when I applied for the Catch a Lift Fund.
How did you find out about Catch a Lift?
So I had a revision surgery for my amputation in 2016, and it was either 2016 or 2017. The Walter Reed had I can't remember. They had like a bunch of like nonprofit people come, and they had like tables and desks set up.
Yeah.
With info and stuff, and that's the first time I heard about Catch a Lift.
Really?
Yeah, and I can't remember who I talked to, but yeah. So yeah, that was the first time, and I was really interested in it, and I think I started to fill out the thing, and then I was still an addict and stuff, and
Yeah.
so I would always start stuff and then not finish it.
Right.
So that was the first time I heard about you guys. And then when I was in Texas at the sober living, I remembered it for some reason. I remembered it. I went up. I went to y'all's website and stuff like that, and it said that you weren't accepting applications at this time. So then I waited until January until it opened up, and like I put a reminder on my calendar, put
Nice.
an alarm up. So like the day that as soon like the day that you guys started accepting applications, I was on the website and put my application in and stuff, and got accepted when I was in Houston. So yeah, it was awesome.
That's great. And Brandon, this year you went through our wellness program with Coach Jeff Brown.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about your experience going through that wellness program and working with Coach Jeff.
So Coach Jeff is awesome. He's helped me out a lot. So it was hard for me to get to the gym when I was in Houston because I didn't have a car. So I had to take an Uber everywhere. I had to take an Uber to work. I took an Uber to the gym. And I usually went to the gym almost every day. So like that started getting expensive.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure.
So I ended up, just I called Jeff one day, or I think I texted him, and I was like, hey, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this. And then I ended up telling him everything that I was a recovering addict in a sober house. I don't have a vehicle, and I was like, I really want to do this. I was like, but I just I'm not able to to get to the gym and to do this. And plus, with the sober house that I was at, I had there were a lot of requirements for me to do, and so I just didn't have the time to do it. But he was like, no, like, no, we'll figure this out. And, he worked with me, and, he kind of put me on hold. And he actually ended up getting me, I think, approved for the program, like even before I finished the wellness. So yeah, he definitely hooked it up. And then once I moved to another sober house here in Florida. So I live in Fleming Island, Florida now, and I'm at a lot nicer sober house than the one.
That's great. Yeah.
And so in the gym less than a mile away.
Oh, that's terrific. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a car down here too, so
Good.
that's nice. So I'm able to go to the gym almost every day. But
How has having that gym membership, Brandon, and working out at the gym helped you, helping you right now, helping you with your recovery?
one of the big things for me is, just staying busy and having a routine. Because if I'm left to my own devices, I'm gonna mess
Yeah.
up. It's just, but definitely going to the gym has helped me a lot. It helps me, get out a lot of the anger and stuff that I feel. And it allows me to get it out in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And also, just it's nice just being able to take care of myself again. So I think I was down to like, before I went to rehab and stuff, I was down to, I don't know, I looked super bad. I was down to maybe like 150 something pounds and stuff like that, and like I'm almost 200 pounds now, so I gained a lot of.
Heck yeah.
I gained
Good for you, Brandon.
stuff, yeah. So, but yeah, it's helped me a lot with my my confidence and stuff, and I feel a lot better about myself. I'm actually taking care of myself and my body now, so it's extremely nice. So
That's absolutely tremendous. I'm so glad that, you were able to find Catch a Lift, but I'm so glad, everything leading up to that, that you were able to get, to the rehab facility that was a better fit and into these good sober living houses now. So happy about that, Brandon. And we're so very grateful to have you part of the Catch a Lift family.
yeah, thank you very much.
I do have one last question for you today, Brandon. And it's the big one I like to ask all of our veteran athletes when they come on. Brandon, what does it mean to you to be a Catch a Lift Fund veteran athlete?
What it means to me, I feel extremely honored that I was chosen to be a catch a lift athlete. It's helped me in my life tremendously, even though I've only been a part of it for like 6 months now. But you know, man, I just words can't really express how what it's done for me, and like my mental health and also my physical health and stuff. But I just feel extremely lucky that I found you guys and was accepted, and that I'm doing so well in my life right now. So it's catch lift has definitely been huge in my recovery. So I want to thank you guys for doing what you do and helping us.
Well, absolutely. It's truly our honor, and I know I can speak for the entire Catch a Lift Fund and staff when I say that, Brandon. It is our honor to serve you and our veteran athletes. Thank you so much, Brandon, for sharing with us today and sharing so openly. It was absolutely terrific.
Yeah, thank you very much.
That's it for this week's episode of Coach's Corner. We will return next Wednesday at 1 Eastern Time with another episode. Thank you again, Brandon, for sharing your story and your light with us all. And thank you so much for your service to our great country. Thank you to ID Technologies for your support of this Catch a Lift Fun Coach's Corner podcast. Thank you to Lynn Coughlin, Henry Pomper, and Kaylee Nasiri for all the work you do week after week to make this podcast possible. And we thank the entire Catch a Lift team. Don't forget to join us every Wednesday live at 1 Eastern on YouTube for a chance to win Cal swag and a chat with your brothers and sisters. Until next week, keep it real and stay Cal strong.